The German prisoner was tied to a chair in the center of the interrogation room when MacArthur walked in, and every guard expected him to approve the pressure before the convoy moved out. Instead, MacArthur stopped beside the table, looked at the prisoner's bound hands, then ordered the ropes cut immediately because the map lying in front of him showed a route that no captured man should have known unless someone inside the camp had already betrayed it. The prisoner had been brought into the interrogation room before sunrise after guards found him near the motor pool carrying a folded map under his coat. His name was Lieutenant Emil Kraus, a German signals officer captured 3 weeks earlier and assigned to a quiet barack near the camp warehouse. The guards believed he was trying to pass information to another prisoner group because the map marked an Allied supply road scheduled for use that afternoon, and only officers inside the command office were supposed to know that route. Captain Reeves, the American security officer, ordered Kraus tied to a chair after the prisoner refused to explain where he got the map. Reeves had lost 2 trucks to sabotage in the previous week, and patients inside the camp had collapsed quickly. When MacArthur arrived for a regional inspection, Reeves presented the map as proof that Kraus belonged to a hidden German network moving information through the prisoner compound. MacArthur entered the room while 2 guards stood behind Kraus and 1 interpreter waited beside the table. He read the map silently, then looked at the prisoner's wrists where the ropes had cut into the skin. Reeves began explaining the sabotage pattern, but MacArthur raised one hand and asked why a man accused of stealing a map would carry it openly through the motor pool instead of hiding it inside a barack or passing it through the fence. The question changed the room. Reeves answered that frightened men made mistakes, yet MacArthur kept reading the pencil marks. The route on the map did not simply show the afternoon supply road. It also marked 2 storage sheds, a fuel stop, and a service gate used by American drivers during bad weather. Kraus finally spoke through the interpreter and said the map had been pushed under his bunk during the night with a note telling him to deliver it to the motor pool if he wanted another prisoner kept alive. MacArthur ordered the ropes cut. Reeves objected at once, saying Kraus could still be dangerous, but MacArthur said a tied witness could not point, write, or demonstrate how the note reached him. The guards cut the knots, and Kraus rubbed his wrists without looking away from the map. The decision moved him from accused saboteur to possible witness, which angered Reeves more than it comforted anyone else. Kraus identified the prisoner named in the threat as Otto Meyer, a mechanic from Barack 9 who had repaired American trucks under supervision. Guards went to find him and discovered his bunk empty, his work jacket missing, and a smear of oil across the floorboards near the rear wall. The first conflict widened immediately because the man supposedly held as leverage had vanished before the questioning began. MacArthur ordered Barack 9 sealed, and the motor pool searched at the same time. In the barack, guards found a torn note under Kraus's mattress, matching the prisoner's story. In the motor pool, mechanics found a toolbox with 2 sets of fingerprints in grease, one belonging to Meyer and another still unknown. The map had not been the beginning of sabotage. It was a message built to draw one man into blame. By noon, the afternoon supply convoy was delayed. Kraus remained under guard but untied, and Reeves had to admit the case no longer fit the simple accusation he had prepared. MacArthur ordered every driver, mechanic, and prisoner worker connected to the marked route brought to the yard. The question was no longer whether Kraus stole the map. It was who needed him tied down before he could explain why the map had reached him. Subscribe for more forgotten German POW stories like this one. The escalation began in the motor pool, where guards lined up prisoner mechanics beside American drivers while Reeves compared names against the route schedule. Kraus was brought in with an interpreter and ordered to identify anyone who had approached Barack 9 during the night. He pointed first to a German orderly named Franz Keller, who carried laundry between barracks, then to an American civilian mechanic who had argued with Meyer 2 days earlier about missing fuel coupons. The civilian mechanic, Harris, denied knowing either prisoner, but a driver reported seeing him near the service gate after evening count. MacArthur ordered the fuel records brought out, and the quartermaster discovered that 3 small fuel entries had been altered with the same pencil used on the map. The changes were minor enough to avoid notice. Yet together they showed that someone had been preparing the afternoon route for a controlled delay near the exact fuel stop marked on Krause's map. Keller tried to slip away during the inventory check, and 2 guards caught him beside a laundry cart. Inside the cart, they found a folded cloth packet containing road chalk, 2 ration coupons, and a second note written in German. The note instructed Krause to carry the map, but a final line had been torn away. Krause insisted the missing line named the man holding Meyer, and MacArthur ordered the entire laundry shed searched before the cart could be moved. The search found nothing at first, which allowed Reeves to press again for harsher questioning. MacArthur refused and ordered the floor checked instead. Beneath a loose board near the washing tubs, guards found the torn line from the note and a small metal tag from a truck key ring. The line did not name Meyer's captor directly, but it mentioned the old ice house beyond the service road, a building no prisoner was supposed to enter. The camp moved quickly. A patrol reached the ice house and found the door barred from outside. Inside, Meyer was alive, tied with cloth strips, and lying beside a dismantled truck brake assembly. His hands were black with grease, and several parts had been arranged on a sack as if someone had forced him to prepare damage that could be installed later. Meyer said he was taken because he refused to weaken a truck brake before the convoy left. That discovery changed the map's purpose. It had not been meant to leak the convoy route to enemies beyond the fence. It was meant to make Krause appear responsible if the convoy failed, while Meyer's forced work created the actual danger. MacArthur ordered the delayed trucks inspected piece by piece, and mechanics found one brake line already loosened on the lead vehicle. The escalation spread when Harris's tool chest was opened. Inside lay a duplicate brake wrench wrapped in German newspaper, several fuel coupons, and a small list of convoy times. Harris claimed the items were planted by prisoners, but Meyer identified the wrench as the one used in the ice house. Keller admitted carrying laundry notes, yet insisted Harris had given him the first envelope near the service road. Reeves struggled with the implication that an American worker might be involved, and he tried to redirect suspicion toward Keller. MacArthur stopped him by placing the rope cut from Krause's wrists beside the map, the fuel records, and the brake wrench. The picture was now larger than a prisoner plot. Someone had tried to create a German culprit before the sabotage happened, and the tied man in the chair had been chosen because his signal's background made the lie believable. The major consequence arrived when the lead truck inspection revealed that the brake tampering could have caused the convoy to crash on a steep road outside the camp. The supply run carried medical crates, ammunition boxes, and replacement radio parts, which meant a single damaged vehicle could block the route, scatter cargo, and expose the convoy to attack or theft. MacArthur ordered the convoy canceled and converted the motor pool into an evidence site. Meyer gave a full statement under medical watch. He said Harris had first asked him to create a harmless mechanical delay, then threatened to report him as a saboteur when he refused. Later, Keller delivered a message warning that Krause would be blamed if Meyer did not cooperate. The pressure moved through prisoners, but the planning came from someone who knew American convoy schedules before they reached the motor pool. MacArthur ordered a review of recent sabotage reports. 2 earlier incidents now looked different. A damaged fuel pump had been blamed on German prisoners, but the replacement request was signed before the damage was found. A missing ignition part had been listed as prisoner theft, but inventory records showed Harris had access to the part cabinet the previous afternoon. The consequence of untying Krause was that previous assumptions began falling apart. Reeves did not like where the review led, yet MacArthur forced him to bring every report into the yard. Guards who had repeated stories about German sabotage now saw documents showing gaps, early signatures, and convenient accusations. Several prisoners who had been punished for minor work violations were brought forward and questioned again. One said Harris offered cigarettes to anyone who complained loudly about German mechanics. The investigation reached the camp office when a clerk found convoy drafts copied onto cheap paper inside the trash bin. The drafts had not been stolen after approval. They had been read before approval, copied while still incomplete, and passed to someone who knew how to turn ordinary mechanical work into blame. MacArthur ordered the office staff questioned separately, including Reeves, because only security officers knew which prisoners were easiest to accuse. That order created the strongest consequence of the day. Reeves admitted he had relied on Harris for reports about prisoner mechanics because Harris spoke enough German to understand workyard complaints. Harris had shaped the security picture for weeks by describing certain prisoners as suspicious. Krauss had been placed on that list after refusing to translate coded radio scraps Harris claimed to have found near the fence. A second search of Harris's quarters uncovered a hidden pouch beneath a floor mat. Inside were black market fuel coupons, small payments from a local buyer, and a list of convoy cargo types. Harris had not been working for the German prisoners. He had been stealing supplies and using staged sabotage claims to cover shortages. Blaming prisoners gave him both protection and a convenient story. By evening, Krauss, Meyer, and several previously accused prisoners had been moved into protected quarters as witnesses. The consequence was no longer only the canceled convoy. MacArthur had exposed a pattern in which fear of German sabotage allowed a corrupt worker to hide theft, frame prisoners, and pressure guards into treating accusations as proof. The order to untie one man had opened every locked assumption in the camp. The major reversal began when Harris claimed he had not acted alone and named Captain Reeves as the officer who protected him. The accusation shocked the guards because Reeves had pushed hardest against Krauss and had supervised the original interrogation. Reeves denied everything, saying Harris was trying to trade lies for mercy, but MacArthur ordered the security logs placed beside Harris's recovered lists before anyone dismissed the claim. At first, the logs seemed to help Reeves. They showed he had reported every sabotage incident promptly, assigned extra guards, and restricted prisoner movement after each event. Then Krauss pointed to the timing of one restriction. It began 2 hours before the alleged fuel pump damage, which meant Reeves had limited prisoner movement before he officially knew sabotage would occur. Reeves claimed the time was copied incorrectly, but the guard roster matched it. The reversal became sharper when Meyer identified Reeves's handwriting on a work restriction slip found in the ice house. Reeves had signed it under a shortened name used only inside the motor pool. The slip authorized Harris to remove Meyer from routine work for special repair verification, which explained how the prisoner had been taken without raising immediate alarm. Harris had carried out the scheme, but Reeves had made space for it. MacArthur ordered Reeves relieved of duty pending investigation. The room fell silent because an American officer, not a German prisoner, had become the central figure in the case. Reeves tried to appeal to rank and warned that undermining camp security would embolden prisoners. MacArthur answered that security built on planted evidence was not security, and ordered him placed under guard away from both prisoners and staff. The reversal exposed a final hidden layer. A search of Reeves's desk revealed letters from a supply contractor complaining about delayed payments and missing equipment. The contractor's name matched the local buyer on Harris's payment list. Reeves had not merely looked away. He had helped create sabotage scares to justify replacement orders, then redirected supplies through civilian channels while prisoners took the blame. Keller, the laundry orderly, then admitted that he had carried notes because Reeves's men threatened to remove his brother from the medical list. That confession changed Keller from accomplice to coerced participant, though he remained under guard. MacArthur ordered every prisoner punishment connected to Reeves's reports suspended until reviewed. The reversal widened from one convoy to a full camp security collapse. The most dangerous discovery came from the radio parts inventory. Several crates marked for the canceled convoy contained bricks wrapped in paper instead of equipment. If the convoy had moved and crashed, The missing parts would have been blamed on chaos after sabotage. The staged mechanical failure was not only meant to steal from the convoy, it was meant to hide theft that had already occurred before departure. By nightfall, the case had reversed completely. Krauss had entered the day tied to a chair as the suspected source of a dangerous map. Reeves ended it under guard as the officer who allowed the map to become a weapon. MacArthur ordered a new convoy prepared, not for routine supply movement, but to carry evidence, witnesses, and stolen property records to regional command before anyone inside the camp could repair the old story. The final irreversible event began before dawn, when MacArthur ordered the evidence convoy assembled under a new guard detail that reported to him directly. Krauss, Meyer, Keller, Harris, and Reeves were placed in separate vehicles, while the recovered map, brake assembly, fuel records, false reports, contractor letters, and radio crate evidence were sealed in numbered boxes. No man connected to the original motor pool security chain was allowed near the convoy. Before departure, MacArthur had the camp yard assembled for a controlled announcement. He did not describe every accusation, but he made one fact public. No prisoner would be punished for sabotage without independent mechanical proof, signed inventory records, and direct witness review. The statement moved through the prisoners with visible force because several men had been living under suspicion created by papers they never saw. The final danger came when one of Reeves's loyal guards tried to delay the convoy by claiming a witness tag was wrong. MacArthur ordered the tag checked at the table immediately. The tag matched, the objection failed, and Keller identified the guard as one of the men who had threatened him about his brother's medical status. The delay attempt became another piece of evidence instead of a reason to stop. MacArthur ordered the guard disarmed and added to the investigation file. Then he made Krauss stand before the table where he had been tied the day before. The interpreter read the accusation first, then the recovered note, then the map route, then the brake evidence that proved the real sabotage was mechanical and staged. The sequence restored the prisoner's status publicly without pretending he had ever been trusted freely. The convoy left through the same service gate marked on the map. This time the lead truck had been inspected by two independent mechanics, the cargo verified by officers who signed in front of witnesses, and the route kept sealed until the engine started. Every movement corrected a failure from the previous plan. The camp watched as the machinery of blame was replaced by procedure. At regional command, the evidence arrived intact by noon. A message returned to the camp confirming that Reeves and Harris would remain under investigation. Stolen supplies had been traced to the contractor, and the earlier sabotage cases would be reopened. The confirmation made the event irreversible because the truth had left the camp's control and entered formal command records. MacArthur then ordered every prisoner previously punished under Reeves's sabotage reports brought before a review board. Some remained guilty of minor violations, but others had charges reduced or removed. Meyer's medical status was restored, Keller's brother kept his treatment place, and Krauss was listed as a protected witness rather than a suspected courier. Each correction weakened the old system. By evening, the chair from the interrogation room was carried into the yard, and the ropes were cut into evidence pieces rather than reused. MacArthur did not make a speech over them. He simply ordered that no prisoner be bound for questioning without written authorization and a recorded reason. The final irreversible event was a rule born from one tied man, one suspicious map, and one commander who understood that a prisoner's hands had been tied before the truth was. The next morning, Krauss walked past the motor pool under guard but untied, while mechanics repaired the lead truck that had nearly carried a lie onto the road. MacArthur's convoy had already left, yet his order remained posted outside the interrogation room. Guards passed it quietly before every questioning session. A map had once made Krauss look guilty, but the moment his hands were freed, the real route appeared, leading from a prisoner's bunk to a stolen convoy and the men who had built a crime around fear. Most people know how World War II ended. Very few know what happened inside these prison camps. Subscribe for more untold WW2 stories.